But is it, should we be concerned rather, if we have herdsmen moving down across the south, if those herdsmen are doing the right thing and doing what they've always done essentially, which is just their business and they're not terrorizing or harming people, should we still be essentially concerned that they're moving south if they're not, you know, armed?
Unfortunately, I don't believe that these people are herdsmen. These are people who are just out to destabilize this country. They are no herdsmen. How many times have we got reports that heads or cattle were killed? Is that sufficient reason? Is there any justification where you go and invade communities, cut off people's head, rip off their stomach, rape women?
I think there's been, when we hear from particularly the security agencies, you hear that, you know, they're essentially, there's a divide there. That you have, of course, the armed terrorist kind of sector of the herdsmen. Then, of course, you have those who we see on the roads of Abuja with their sticks and they're just going about their business. Should we not differentiate between the two?
Of course, we should differentiate between the. I don't even see a nexus between the two. Mm. A friend of mine called last week. He was on his way to Lagos. He escaped there by whisker. They come to the express, open fire on people. Mm. I mean, that is not, those can't be herdsmen. These are terrorists. We must call them by their real names. Sure. And I believe that our security and intelligence agencies should go to the root cause of this problem. Find out what are their aims, what are the objectives, what do they intend to achieve. They are to destabilize this country. You know, they go to churches, attack churches. In Zamfara State, for instance, I'm a Catholic. I'm not happy that priests were killed, but you go to Zamfara, for instance, you see, they are killing people. These people have no drum lines. They go about killing people, try to cause disaffection. And I think that's the area government should look at. We should forget this issue of herdsmen. I don't believe these are herdsmen.
Let's take a look at the security agencies themselves and how they're going about their duties. You know, there's been a lot of talk, particularly around the Nigeria police force, concerning some of these very high-level investigations into certain political actors. My mind goes to the most recent, which is, of course, the suspects of the Ofa robbery in Kwara State now being linked to the Senate President Bukola Saraki. What are your thoughts about some of these investigations? On the one hand, you hear people saying, look, we have to let the law run its course, no matter who's involved. On the other hand, you hear people saying, look, we don't believe that the security agencies are doing their business. We believe that this is a political witch hunt. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's a difficult one. Nobody is above the law. But what is happening between the police and the Senate President is absurd. It's unacceptable. It's immoral and should not be tolerated in any normal society. My reasons are, if the Senate President is the number 3 citizen of this country, I don't have problem inviting the Senate President, but there are procedures. A situation where the police authorities will go and address press conference, giving ultimatum, giving deadline to the Senate President to report at his station. I mean, he doesn't enjoy any immunity. But in my mind, it's height of disrespect to that office. Normally, if they have strong evidence that the Senate President is linked to robbery, which of course I very much doubt, it should be written for his comments. And if I were not addressing press conference, why was it reversed? Well, why was the invitation reversed?
What we've heard is that I've heard many Nigerians kind of debate this issue, and what you hear is that, look, how can the Senate President order some thugs to rob a bank, for example? Does he even need the money? That's what you hear on the street. But now, when you talk to some of the officials, they'll tell you that it has nothing to do with the actual robbery itself, that it has to do with a potential sponsorship of a movement. They refer to it as the Youth Liberation Movement, a group of youths in Kwara State that are purportedly said to have been those who executed this very fatal robbery in Kwara State. Now, if he sponsored that movement, and it's a big if, none of us know, if he sponsored that movement with money and potentially weapons, should he not, even as the Senate president, be called to the station to answer questions?
Now, let me give you an example from the Bible. You recall a woman caught committing adultery. And what Jesus Christ said, let him who has not committed on evil cast the first stone. There is no politician that doesn't have talk. I'm not justifying it, or supporters, or sympathizers. That you have supporters or talks, you are not in control of what they are doing after your election. But you also recall that that was how the Niger Delta crisis started. People were armed for elections.
But arming boys is a clear violation of the law.
It is, no doubt.
So even if you say that there's a precedent, that there are other politicians who sponsor thugs, etc., does that now mean that the Senate president should not be called?
I am not justifying it. But what I'm saying is that how do you link the Senate president with robbery? Is it for them to go and get money? I listened to the clips. They're transcribed speeches from the journalists who were present there. And you heard what they said. That is the work of a devil. That means the Senate president never asked them to. I mean, you as politicians, you have your supporters. You have people going around with you. But what they do, that is why I personally, as Michael Jaffa, will never get into politics, because if you see some of them, they do things on your behalf, and there's nothing you can do. You can't come out to condemn them openly, and you become liable to it.